I'm finally going to watch Harry and the Hendersons. I usually like my Bigfoot movies to be scary and bloody, with Bigfoot ripping guys' wieners off and eating the faces off of people. But this is something special. Thank you all for getting me to 100 subscribers. I can't believe that 100 people like to listen to my thoughts on creature features, but here we are. So I figured, what a better way to celebrate than watching the most popular Bigfoot movie ever. The Henderson family are coming home from a camping trip. The sun's in George's eyes and he can't see the road. That's when they hit something. At first, George thinks it's a man, but then he sees it's covered in fur. He gets out to take a look and sure enough, it's Bigfoot.
Bigfoot?
They all think he's dead, but also know what an important find this is. So they load him up on the roof of the car and take him home. But guess what? He's not dead, and he scares the living daylights out of the family. And if I have to admit, me too. George slams on the brakes and the creature flies through the air. But this time, he's really dead, right? They load him back up and head home. That night, they're all getting some sleep. You know, it's not like they have a rotting corpse of a Bigfoot to worry about or anything. But yeah, you guessed it. He's not dead. And that night, George finds the beast in his kitchen. Here we get to see how great the costume looks. They did a good job of making Harry look friendly, but scary at the same time. George and Harry fight a bit, which wakes up the family. Harry wanders around the house like a bull in a china shop until George has enough, and he just gets out his gun to shoot him. But seeing the more human characteristics of the beast, he can't take the shot. They all go inside, and George actually calls the cops. But as you would expect, it doesn't work out so well. He says he has a Bigfoot in his house, and the officer says if this isn't a prank and he is being serious, then they would have to evacuate the entire neighborhood and go into lockdown, basically forcing him to say it was just a joke. But I don't know about you. If I really had a Bigfoot in my house, I don't care about my neighbors. They're going into lockdown. The next day, using fast food, they lure Bigfoot into the car to take him into the woods. I'd have to say that'd probably work for me. He gets in, destroying the car in the process. But then, George's son, Ernie, starts crying, not wanting Harry to go. This gives him just enough time to escape into the city. Most of this movie is just George driving around looking for Harry, while he eats everyone else's food. A Bigfoot hunter, Jacques Lefeur, finds the Henderson's license plate from the accident, and with that, he's able to find out where they live. But Harry ain't home. George goes to Dr. Wrightwood, a Bigfoot researcher, to get some more info on the elusive creature. But instead, he tells us a very important PSA.
You've seen hundreds, thousands of pigeons, right?
Of course.
Have you ever seen a baby pigeon? Well, neither have I.
George also happens to be a very talented artist. His dad asks him to draw a big, scary picture of Bigfoot to put on display at the family's gun store. Due to the surge of Sasquatch sightings in the area, hunters are buying a ton of guns. But George just can't do it. He can't draw Harry in a bad light for people just to shoot his friend.
How's that for an arthritic old shooter, huh?
What the hell did you do that for? It was my drawing. Why'd you change it?
Eventually, Jacques finds Harry in a dumpster, on top of a garbage truck. How does this happen? Were they just loading up the garbage, then it hit 5 o'clock and they just quit? Anyway, he climbs into the dumpster with him, and Harry scares the crap out of him, making the hunter pass out. And guess who comes strolling by? That's right, it's George, here to save the day. Knowing he won't be able to get Harry down so easily, he just steals the entire garbage truck. While all this is going on, Jacques wakes up. He has Harry right where he wants him. He even gets a chance to shoot Harry right in the head. But then George launches them across the street. He gets Bigfoot to his car and eventually back to their house, where the family are very happy to see him. Let's think about this for a second. Harry is a Sasquatch, and in most reports they say that the creature smells really bad to begin with. On top of all that, Harry was just rolling all over a dumpster. So what does the family do? They give him the complete spa treatment. Dr. Wrightwood calls George out of the blue and they invite him over for dinner. While eating, the doctor is telling his story and how after all the research he has done, it has led him to believe that there's no such thing as Bigfoot. All this while Harry is sneaking up behind him. When the doctor sees him, he just about craps his pants. I like his reaction here. It starts with disbelief, then amazement, and then finally excitement. Now, there are many ways Dr. Wrightwood could handle this. I mean, a scientific find like that would change the world forever. Does he document the creature? Maybe cage it up and study it, or worse yet, kill it and dissect him? Well, no. The good doctor does the right thing and tells the Hendersons of a place deep in the woods where they could take Harry and he could live free. So they load him up and head out. But Jacques is right on their tail. And, as we saw in the dumpster, he wants to go the evil route. He believes the only way to prove the existence of this creature is to kill it. They have to cut through traffic. Harry mimics a police siren, and eventually they make it to the forest. At first, Harry won't leave. Left with no other option, George yells at him and eventually punches him in the face. Reluctantly, Bigfoot wanders back into the woods. But his tracks! He's leaving a trail of footprints that Jacques can just follow. So the family wander around a little bit with the doctor's Bigfoot casts to make decoy footprints. Well, it sort of works. Harry is hanging out in a tree and he sees Jacques. He knows what he's up to, so he drops down and is in Bigfoot attack mode. Now this is what I'm talking about. Here we go. Is he gonna rip Jacques' wang off, or just beat him to a pulp? Well, if you think that's gonna happen in a family movie, you're gonna be disappointed. They do fight one-on-one for a little bit. Jacques kicks Harry in the balls. Low blow, man. In the end, Bigfoot overtakes Jacques, and the Hendersons find them back at the car. George is so mad at the hunter, he just wants to kill him, but Harry stops him. They all make up, and the family's able to give their proper goodbyes to Harry. When he walks into the woods, several other Bigfoot hiding in plain sight follow. And that's about it for Harry and the Hendersons. The end credits have got to be the most 80s thing I have ever seen. I like it. It's like Take on Me, but with Bigfoot. So what I think of the movie overall? It's good. What'd you expect? Just because there isn't blood and gore doesn't make it a bad film. The actors do a great job. John Lithgow is likable, and Melinda Dillon plays a great on-screen mom. But no one is better than Harry. The guy in the suit is 7 foot 2.5 inch tall Kevin Peter Hall. He also played the Predator and the Mutant Bear in Prophecy, so he has some experience playing a tall monster. The Bigfoot effects were done by Rick Baker. He's worked on such tiny little films like, I don't know, Star Wars, Planet of the Apes, Men in Black. He's even the one responsible for turning Robert Downey Jr. black in Tropic Thunder. The guy knows what he's doing, and he said that Harry is his greatest and favorite character he's ever created. These two guys made Harry come to life, and he looks great. The writers also at least knew a little bit about Bigfoot. They referenced the bad smell and even him mimicking the police siren. I've heard reports of people saying Bigfoot can perfectly mimic other animals in the forest. Jacques and Dr. Wrightwood seem to be based off real-life Bigfoot researchers, so they at least did their homework. Harry and the Hendersons is a fun family movie that for some people I'm sure was their intro into Bigfoot. I give it 3.5 Bigfoot nut kicks out of 4.
We don't know if it's male or female.
Definitely male.
How can you tell? Oh, don't answer that, honey.